Hello, and welcome to Adult Story Time. I hope you've been having fun with our nonfiction series. This is definitely a fiction series. It's a book written by Rabekcha D. Donaldson and her partner in crime, Larry Johnson. This is a book that's an anthology, so lots of little stories inside one big world. This one is called The Girl.
When Erica stepped through the doorway to her apartment, she didn't say a single word to her roommate, Sherry. She moved as quickly and quietly as she could towards the door to her room and shut it behind her without making any eye contact. Erica wanted to avoid the congregation that Sherry had assembled in their living room and not get sucked into whatever they thought they were cooking in there. Erica had no idea how unfounded her concerns were. Sherry and her small collection of excitable sycophants were too preoccupied to notice Erica shuffle through. They were so involved in their own verbal bubble that they wouldn't have spared a glance to her announcing her presence via blood-curdling scream. That's just how serious this plan was to them.
So we'll get inside, split up, and then we'll get into position to obtain the hostages.
Well, we're going to need some kind of code word or universal signal in order to keep everyone on the same page,
Gary said.
Oh, okay. When we're all in place,
Sherry continued.
I'll say, the mouse is in the trap. And then each group will approach their assigned positions.
Where is each group heading off to? Stanley inquired.
Right here, where I marked it and was pointing.
Sherry retorted before taking a deep breath and resuming.
Now, we'll get the doors locked, we'll get the hostages in place, and by then, they'll be calling to find out what we want. After that, it'll only be a matter of time before they give us back what was stolen.
Sherry charismatically clamored.
And how much are we asking for again?
We'll do the talking, but what we're asking for is what they've stolen from us. My parents had money and a house. Where's my house?
After a pause, Sherry added,
Also, I'm devastated over the deaths of my parents, and I know it was them. They're the ones that killed our parents.
Like the people in that building specifically, or the organization they represent?
Eustace pondered.
Just like the government or whatever, the people that work with this new government that's taking over.
Sherry reprimanded. Eustace slowly nodded and sank his eyes towards the floor. Rebecca chimed.
What about after they give us the money back? Do we have an escape plan? They don't believe in guns anymore, so we'll just walk out of there. There'll be a car waiting for us in the back, and since these friggin' pacifists don't believe in guns or anything, we'll just have a guaranteed way out.
Sherry explained.
If there aren't any questions and we don't have anything else to say about all of this, then we can adjourn for the evening and wrap this up before the operation begins tomorrow.
So then, are they pacifists, or are they responsible for killing our parents?
Eustace droned on.
I meant questions about the plan. Since there aren't any, meeting's over. See you all tomorrow.
Sherry abruptly replied. Once she was able to audibly confirm that all of Sherry's guests were gone, Erica left her room and entered the kitchen to make herself dinner. As for Sherry, she was picking up all the plans, maps, and notes strewn over the coffee table from her meeting. No one from her group stayed long enough to help her clean up, so she was left alone, cursing under her breath and struggling to carry everything to her room in one trip. She somehow managed to pull it off and tossed the pile of plans into her decidedly messy room down the hall before slamming the door closed. Erica said,
I'm making myself dinner. Would you like me to make you some, or have you eaten?
Sherry loudly replied,
I haven't had time to eat anything, not with how important all of this is. I've been too busy organizing to even think about food. If you can call it that. It's so hard to cook this quote-unquote food they force us to put in the fridge anyway. Sherry, do you want some or not? I don't really care.
Erica flatly stated. After a moment of silence, Sherry sighed and replied.
I guess. What are you making anyway?
Erica ignored Sherry's question and focused on preparing the vegetables in front of her. It didn't matter, though, because Sherry continued to drone on anyway.
What were you doing today? Looking for a job?
Sherry asked.
Yes, I told you that's where I was going. I had job interviews.
Erica responded.
You're just gonna casually get jobs and make food and you're not gonna fight this. Yep. So you're like okay with giving in to dictators. You're okay with them killing your parents. Like, you're just okay with this?
Sherry went off.
No, I'm not okay with it, but I don't really think there's anything to do, and I don't think the way you're fighting is going to work. So for the moment, I'm going to do what I need to do.
Erica stated.
Okay. Work for the system that killed your parents. I'm sure they would appreciate it if they weren't, all dead and murdered right now. The system might partially be responsible what happened to my parents, but my parents willingly were getting on some kind of balloon to live in space and leave me here on a planet that was supposedly going to self-destruct. So, you know what? If they don't care about me, then I don't have to care about them.
Sherry grumbled before she turned up her nose and said,
Well, I think the videotape was faked, and you don't want to know what else I think.
Erica replied with the quickest,
No. You should want to help us out.
Erica grabbed her food, and as she left for her room, she responded,
Leave me out of it. I don't want nothing to do with it.
The next day, Sherry and Erica were both feeling good about themselves. Sherry's plan was coming to fruition, and if it all worked out, she'd never have to stay another night in this low-class apartment she was reduced to. She would have her house, her freedom, and the right to never see that complicit bitch Erica ever again. Sherry thought for a moment about how offended she was that Erica was too stupid to join up with them, but she quickly pushed it out of her head. If Erica wanted to be poor, then she could stay poor. As for Erica, she felt a small but renewed sense of direction. Her virtual interview had gone well enough for her to get the job, and they provided a quick enough turnaround that she was starting today. She would have to walk on over, which was definitely new to her. The farthest she had gone recently was to the community garden around the corner, but thankfully, her new job wasn't too far, so she didn't mind. It was good exercise and would probably give her the chance to collect her thoughts at the start of each day. She especially thought that the last part was a good thing, as there seemed to be a lot of neurons flaring in her brain this morning. Erica glanced at the GPS on her phone to remind herself of where her new job was. She confirmed the address and its general direction before commencing her journey. Unfortunately, she had to stop almost as soon as it started. She forgot about how separate everything was now. It was all blocked off for some reason, so she couldn't approach this like she was trying to drive there. She'd have to relearn how to walk there, and that made her grumble to herself.
Sherry is Sherry, but this whole ordeal is unnecessary. What a pain in the ass.
She groaned internally. She followed a relatively recent street sign with arrows and walking symbols, and Erica, who checked her GPS again, shrugged and started walking down the sign's prescribed path. It was sectioned off from the street, and Erica gradually found herself surprised at just how nice of a walk this was. The path took a relaxed incline that Erica realized was taking pedestrians over the city streets. It was quieter than she expected, as the loud rumblings of engines past were replaced with the graceful, muted hums of electric transportation. She flip-flopped on her earlier mental complaint, and even felt, for just a second, that she could get used to this kind of commute. Unfortunately, brains that are as busy as Erica's can flip-flop multiple times between charmed and critical when dealing with something new for the first time. It can be a new and unfamiliar commute to a place you've never been before, or it can be an unexplored professional opportunity with no personal blueprint to guide you through. Erica was thinking about both of those things, but what triggered her current sour turn was the sight of some guard escorting a group of kindergartners. Erica scoffed to herself about this.
Oh, yeah. Such a secure place that we need security guards to walk children to school. I certainly feel safe.
Erica thought sarcastically. But once again, Erica's attitude eventually swung back around after she took in a couple of key details. First, the security guard wasn't escorting the children at all. She was walking along and focused on one particular child. Considering the wide smiles and excitement shared between the officer and the adorable little girl walking beside her, Erica realized that all she was witnessing was a mom walking her daughter to school. The woman just happened to be a security guard, which prompted Erica to remind herself about the type of people that make assumptions. Before long, Erica found herself at a large, clean, and official-looking building marked by her GPS. Trees and smaller plant life adorned the sides of the main path leading to the building's entrance, before it split off into several different avenues of access, such as a wheelchair ramp. She climbed up the small amount of stairs leading towards the door and entered a spacious lobby decorated in calming greens and blues. In the center was a main receptionist desk, where a woman stood in front of it wearing a professional outfit that still erred on the side of casual. She lit up upon seeing Erica walk in and smiled.
Good morning.
The businesswoman stepped forward and asked.
Are you Erica?
Semi-startled, Erica slightly stumbled through a response of,
Yes. Hi, yes, I'm Erica. Hi, Erica. My name is Jeannie, and I'm happy to have you here. I'm the starting manager, so I'll be walking you through these first couple of weeks of work.
Erica nodded, and Jeannie continued.
So, I'd like to show you around and find out a little bit more about you so we can set up your training schedule. And does that sound okay with you?
Erica's eyes darted around the room with minor uncertainty as she uttered,
Sure.
Jeannie smiled and motioned Erica to follow as she proceeded past the reception desk's right side. The hallway they entered quickly expanded into a larger work area on one side and a sizable kitchenette on the other. There was a refrigerator, stove, and sinks along a large island counter, but it was all of the extras that stuck out to Erica. There were all kinds of healthy-looking cereals and dispensers, fresh fruits like bananas and apples in baskets for anyone to take, and plenty of options for coffee and tea.
In here, we have the kitchenette.
Jeannie explained.
You can eat at any time you want while you're here. And any food and drinks in here are fair game. Of course, you are welcome to bring your own meals and snacks from home, but just make sure they're properly labeled, as everything here is communal, so people get confused if it's not labeled. Your stuff might get eaten. Oh, before I forget, what is your job experience level, Erica? Have you held a paid position before, or will this be your first time in a professional workplace?
Jeannie's non-judgmental tone didn't make Erica's response any easier. She felt a little embarrassed when she admitted,
This will be the first time I've ever worked at a job before. Okay, that isn't a problem at all.
Jeannie reassured her.
I know how starting a new job and being in completely different circumstances, pile on top of everything you've been through lately, can be extremely stressful. So, I want you to feel comfortable coming to me for any questions or needs that you have. Everything I've been through?
Erica's eyebrow raised slightly.
Do you know about me or something? Yes. I'm sent a profile on all of our new hires, specifically ones with certain circumstances, such as yours. That way, we can not only help you fit into the workplace, but fit into your new life. This isn't a life,
Sherry proclaimed as she dramatically motioned all around her.
It's torture and inhumane, too.
Sherry, Gary, Eustace, Stanley, and Rebecca sat around in Sherry's living room to prepare for their operation. As Sherry kept on speechifying, the rest packed up bags and listened to her intently, except for Gary. He was jotting down potential code names in a notepad and throwing away every bad option, all of them, into an ever-growing pile of crumpled papers.
Now, we are almost ready to embark on our heist plan. We will be leaving in a couple of hours, so make sure to review my plan again beforehand. But first, didn't I already tell you guys not to dress like that?
Gary, Stanley, and Eustace were all dressed in black clothes and gloves, and each had a black ski mask with them. Eustace kept trying on his own and taking it off. It didn't seem to fit right on his head no matter what he tried. Sherry groaned.
We're supposed to look normal. How many times have I said that?
Relax, Sherry, Stanley butted in. Several guns were on the table in front of them, and Stanley fiddled around with one, cocking it and tossing it in his hand. He accidentally dropped it, and the resulting pop from the thankfully unloaded weapon both startled and pissed off Sherry.
Put the guns down, go get dressed, and then we're going to go over everything again. I need to make sure that you all know what we're doing,
Sherry ordered. Eustace and Stanley grumbled under their breath as they got off the couch. Gary was still focused on possible code names, prompting Stanley to snap him out of it by shoving his shoulder. Hey! When all three finally left the room, Sherry turned to Rebecca and quietly said,
Rebecca, I need you in charge of the guns until we get there and are ready to do this thing.
Rebecca, confused but always eager to please, responded,
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I don't know how to do guns and stuff, but I'm like totally going to try. I can't wait for this to work. I miss my yacht. Seriously, I would be there right now. You guys had Easter on your yacht? We went to Aspen every year.
Sherry sighed wistfully and continued,
We used to.
Yeah, really doesn't feel like Easter, Eustace interjected as the guys re-entered the room in more normal clothes. I mean, where's our presents? Jeannie entered the office where Erica had been spending her day and spoke in an optimistic voice.
Good afternoon. How have you been doing? I'm all right. I mean, the day has been pretty easy so far, but I feel like I haven't even worked yet. All I've really learned how to do is sign into things and, navigate the computers.
Erica replied, half confused.
That's great. I see you put a picture on your desktop.
The wallpaper on Erica's desktop monitor was of a cat about a quarter second after being accidentally bucked off the back of a stable horse. Its shut eyes and wide screaming mouth were the only clearly discernible features of that cat, as the rest of its body was in the midst of motion blur. Jeannie chuckled and beamed.
I'm glad you were able to start making this place comfortable for yourself. However,
Jeannie added after a brief pause,
there are some people here to talk to you. Now, it's nothing scary or about you, but I do need you to come with me. Oh, okay.
Erica whispered while slowly standing up from her chair. As Jeannie began walking Erica down the hall, she noticed a lot of nervous energy coming her way, so she stopped and grabbed Erica's hand.
I know this new world can be scary, but you haven't done anything wrong. You have no reason to be nervous, and even though you don't know me, I will stay in the room with you if that is what you want. You just tell me what you need, and I will help you.
Erica, both confused and taken aback, asked,
Wow, you all really go for that supportive culture vibe here, don't you?
It's not it's not a culture thing. It's a me thing.
Jeannie responded.
Don't get me wrong. I love this place, but the reason this is my job is because I actually care about all of you. The ones who came from money, were displaced, and lost most of their family, but are trying in this new place instead of hiding.
They arrived at a conference room door, and Jeannie put her hand on the knob.
This is the room. And again, if you want me in there, I'll come in with you.
Jeannie turned the knob and opened the door to a room where two women sat at a table. They were older than Erica, but not by much, and appeared professional, while not seeming too strict either. It wasn't exactly laid back, but it was a little more casual than Erica might have expected. The woman seated on the left spoke up first.
Erica, please come in and have a seat. Jeannie, did you want to come in? You are more than welcome to.
Jeannie glanced at Erica, who shook her head no, and then said,
Thank you, but it's fine.
With that, Erica stepped through the door and sat down at the table across from the two women. Jeannie shut the door behind Erica, and not a second afterwards, Erica burst into words.
What did I do? I don't even know how I could have done anything wrong. I literally haven't done anything except go to a garden so I had food to eat and then get this job. I admit I haven't done anything at this job yet, but it's literally my first day and they didn't tell me to do anything. And if
Erica,
The woman on the left interrupted.
you haven't done anything, our questions are not about you. I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but you seem to be spiraling into an explanation that wasn't needed. Now, my name is Catherine, and Erica, we are only here to ask you about your roommate, Sherry? Oh.
Erica replied quietly.
my name is Elizabeth, and it's nice to meet you.
The woman on the right spoke up.
I'm just taking notes.
Okay, so this is about Sherry?
Erica acknowledged.
I know we used to be close, but we haven't been since this whole dictatorship happened. I don't mean dictatorship, although it kind of it is, but it isn't. Maybe a new world or a new country. I'm sorry. I don't really have much I can tell you.
Don't worry. If you don't know, you don't know. Our main concern is finding out if she is acting alone in her coup or if she has people helping her, and then find out how many of them there are.
Catherine questioned.
You know about her plan?
Then Erica's eyes widened slightly as she asked,
Is it because our houses have recording devices in them?
No.
There are no recording devices in people's homes. This isn't 1984.
Catherine chuckled before further explaining.
We have a few buildings set up for people who are planning things just like this. No one works at these dummy offices. And when someone like Sherry, or any group she has, enters it, they will immediately be locked inside. This way, we can catch people without the risk of endangering the public. But it will help if we know as much about the plan as we can, and if we know how many people we are dealing with.
Wait a second. She's walking into a setup?
Erica released a weighty sigh.
Oh, that is a relief. I figured she was going to get herself killed and everyone would be put on a huge, lockdown and there would be more rules. That is a relief.
These liars or instigators won't do anything to ruin our new world. We worked way too hard to get this set up and start anew. We cleaned up the shithole that TWPs turned it into. So you can rest assured that won't happen. Although I can't promise your roommate won't be held accountable for what she's doing. It will depend on what her plan is and how many people she has intended to hurt. Or if she was planning to endanger the planet.
Elizabeth chimed in.
We won't put up with people hurting nature at all.
She has 4 people with her. They plan on entering the building and holding people hostage until they get their money and their stuff back.
Erica quickly responded.
Hostage.
Catherine asked.
Yes, she also has 7 guns, but there are only 5 people. She was hoping I would join along with this other girl that she made friends with, but that other girl just disappeared after getting the guns. Was her name Maya?
Catherine asked.
Yes.
Erica responded.
How did you know that?
We caught up with her after she got the guns. She didn't do a very good job of hiding what she was doing.
Elizabeth added.
We found Maya and the guy she obtained the guns from quickly. Once we tracked the IP address that kept searching the building's website for hours of operations, floor plans, and stuff, we were able to find Sherry.
That's great to hear, although it's weird that Sherry didn't catch on when Maya stopped responding.
Oh, Maya received the death penalty for her actions, and we have been responding to Sherry while pretending to be Maya. That's why she thinks Maya is sick.
Catherine clarified.
Everyone,
Sherry whispered with gleaming eyes.
It's about time we got this operation underway.
For the past hour, Sherry, Rebecca, Gary, Stanley, and Eustace have occupied a table at Yannick's Organic Cafe. The sun shone brightly outside, but somehow the inside lights were more taxing on Sherry's eyes. The reincarnation of a remodeled Denny's, Yannick's offered wholly organic and locally sourced versions of diner staples, while the strong aroma of freshly ground coffee emanated throughout the place. To Sherry, it was the worst kind of pretentious, health-crazy sellout. She didn't even have to taste the food to know how disgustingly common it all was. But Yannick's was directly across the street from their operation and personal riches, so they had tolerated it up until this moment, the start of her glorious plan. Of course, it would be a lot more impactful if her compatriots paid enough attention to hear what she just said. Most of them had been trying to keep such a low profile that everyone was clamming up and ignoring each other while staring at their phones. To their credit, they at least looked convincingly nonchalant. Only Eustace had a difficult time keeping his eyes focused on his phone, but he thankfully kept his nervous glances to an occasional minimum. And then there was Gary, who had been limbering up for the past 15 minutes by contorting his body through one obnoxious stretch after another. He had attracted his fair share of stares already, which only irritated Sherry further. Nonetheless, Sherry buried her impatience and forced a wide smile onto her face as she clinked her glass with a spoon to get everyone's attention. Rebecca, Stanley, and Eustace snapped to it, but Gary continued to stretch his shoulder and muttered,
I'm almost ready,
under his breath. It took Stanley elbowing him not so gently in his side to finally get Gary to stop posing and start paying attention.
All right, everyone.
Sherry spoke with a quiet but firm voice. It was loud enough for their table to hear and no one else.
I call to order our last and final meeting before we seize our old lives back. It's almost 4, which means they should be in the right mind state for us to take them hostage. After all, no one's working that last hour of their job. Nobody talks about that because I don't think they want to get fired, but I'm talking about it now because it's true, it's basic science, and we'll use it against them to take back what we deserve.
Nodding with silent confidence, the 5 insurrectionists grabbed their gear and rose up to leave. Sherry cleared her throat and glared at Rebecca until she got the message. Rebecca's eyes widened and she muttered,
That's right.
before leaving cash for their bill on the table. She then followed Sherry and the rest out of Yannick's to begin Operation Heist Plan. After ducking into their duffel bags and retrieving their masks, Sherry and company quickly approached the large yet non-threatening gray office building in front of them. Oddly nondescript, there were only 2 identifying items of any kind on the entire building. The first was a vague central label that characterized this as a regulation center, while the second was a smaller placard on the glass entrance simply reading, Hours of operation, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. The five quietly diverted to the wall on the right side of that glass door and quickly extracted the guns from their bags. Before Sherry could give any kind of go-ahead, Gary cleared his throat and said,
I'm prepared for this.
Like he was interrupting someone despite the fact that no one else was talking. He then proceeded to inch up to the side of the door like he was on the edge of a narrow cliff and slowly craned his head and neck until he could glance into the building through the glass. The interior was a single hallway, white, fluorescent, and bland. Just as Sherry's blueprints described, each side of the hallway was flanked by closed private offices, and it progressed inward before diverting into a path being directed left. Gary mentally noted that the hallway was entirely empty of people. He snapped up his hand like a driving turn signal and uttered,
The cookie jar is empty.
ignorant of the hidden internal surveillance devices spying on their every move. Gritting her teeth at the interruption, Sherry quickly took back their attention and stated,
Let's get it together and get this done. We're almost there, so just remember the plan.
Stanley preemptively cocked and readied his gun while Eustace shakily asked,
So, who's going in first? I don't remember anyone talking about our order of entry.
Before Sherry could remind Eustace that she had clarified what the order was several times in the last few days, Gary opened the door with his body weight and slinked inside. He glided his gun between his sides and his front as he stepped down the hallway and kept a sharp eye out for any hostiles. Sherry rolled her eyes and just motioned for everyone to follow Gary while nudging the confused and wary Eustace to proceed. As the last of them entered the building and progressed down the hallway, no one heard the silent click of the internal bolt as it locked the door behind them. Sherry's group made that left turn at the end of the hallway and found themselves at a pair of innocuous, windowless double doors in no time at all. Minus Gary, whose attention was fixed on those doors, the rest glanced toward Sherry for the go-ahead. With a self-satisfied smirk, Sherry nodded, prompting the group to begin. An instant later, Stanley and Gary kicked open the double doors and stormed inside through them. The other three were just behind them with their guns out as they tried to look intimidating. About 12 feet in was a sizable receptionist's desk that stood in the center between two more hallways that opened out into larger office areas. Rebecca brightly chimed in and pointed out,
What luck. No one's here. Of course no one's here, Rebecca. I planned for every detail and the shift change they listed on their website.
Sherry spat out. After Sherry motioned for their divide and kidnap plan to commence, the dejected Rebecca slumped behind Eustace as they both entered down the left side with Sherry close behind. Gary and Stanley took the right passageway, and both sides appeared to be identically lined with different and dimly lit cubicles. Neither side was a maze, but the cubicles were numerous enough and large enough to accommodate a sizable multitude of employees and potential hostages. But as each member of Sherry's group pushed down their respective sides, they all encountered the same pattern repeatedly in a very short span of time. Despite electronic screen lights emanating from every cubicle they came across, every one they checked was left unoccupied. None of the desks looked like they had been used for a long time, as the only things at every desk was a neatly tucked-in chair and a computer whose screen was on a bouncing screensaver. It didn't take Sherry too long to start thinking that something might be wrong here, but it was confirmed with certainty as all of them unexpectedly reunited in a wide and spacious central room that cropped out into one area connected from both sides. The instant whir of machinery activated as both passageways were automatically sealed behind them by solid walls of reflective metal. As the group's eyes confusedly darted about, they noticed that all of the other walls appeared to be made of the same metallic surface, and that the far wall was lined with windows that were not see-through. It produced an almost funhouse mirror effect, as every wall and window simply reflected the group's dumbfounded expressions back at themselves. Wait, Stanley wondered aloud. Is this how it was supposed to be? No, but we can't do anything about that now that you're here, sighed a voice over an intercom system. Your options are currently limited moving forward, but some unfortunate alternatives can still be avoided depending on your full cooperation.
What are you talking about?
Sherry defiantly asked.
Doesn't matter how shiny you make those windows, we can still shoot them and get out of here. Idiots didn't even put anyone here to stop us.
It's true that we've put no one else in the building, the intercom voice responded. But that being said, ma'am, we would not advise the use of firearms against any window in this room. They're all bulletproof, and you'll only hurt yourselves if you try to force the issue. Attempting any resistance will result in certain rehabilitation or, unfortunately, even death. But there are better ways to progress past this situation if you just speak with us. Are you threatening us? Eustace squeaked out. No, we're not threatening. We're just telling you exactly what is going to happen from here on out, the intercom voice replied.
They can't do anything to us.
Sherry whispered sharply to the group.
No one's here, and they don't even allow guns anymore.
Sherry's right,
Rebecca added before contributing nothing else. Sherry was wrong, as a matter of fact. The source of the intercom voice was from a monitoring station in another part of the building, where 3 calm and watchful attendants observed the 5 intruders over several surveillance screens. Damn, a bespectacled attendant uttered. One of them's going to start shooting any second now.
I think you're right.
A second attendant responded.
We might have to gas the room before it's too late.
But before any action could be taken on that front, Gary called out, "The fox is in the hole!" and fired at one of the far windows. The glass remained unscathed and reflected the bullet on impact to start a series of ricochets that bounced across the room multiple times. It only stopped after whizzing past Eustace's ear and prompting him to panic and scream out, "They're shooting at us!" Sherry and company reacted with a blind lack of hesitation and began unloading on all of the windows in front of them. The explosive blasts of gunfire drowned out the attendants' responding sighs over the intercom. It was just as well that they didn't hear them, however, as their trigger fingers had already sealed their fates. Gary's stoic pretension collapsed under the weight of a round piercing his kneecap and bursting out of his lower leg, tearing his right calf muscle into shreds. Tears gushed from his eyes, and Gary erupted into a deafening squeal of pain as he dropped his gun and collapsed to the floor. His weapon discharged the instant it careened into the ground, blasting another round right through Stanley's head before he could shout out the expletive on the tip of his tongue. Stanley's footing dissolved as a cyclone of bullets raged around the rest of the group. Their resolve crumbled into collective hysteria as they screamed and desperately tried to protect themselves. Eustace ran about in search of an exit before one bullet ripped through his right arm, recoiled off the wall closest to him, and embedded itself in his left foot. Conversely, Rebecca immediately crumbled into a fetal ball on the floor, sobbing as she flinched at the sound of every bullet rebound. In her own private panic, Sherry noticed Rebecca and opened her mouth to take her frustrations out on her favorite punching bag.
Rebecca, you spineless bitch!
Was the last thing Sherry shouted before a stray bullet tore through her throat and erupted from her neck in a jet geyser of blood. She could only form weak, gurgling sounds before her body hit the floor with a resounding thud.
So you're saying I've got the whole place to myself?
A kind but official-sounding voice responded over Erica's phone with, "That is correct. Your former roommate and her associates won't be bothering you again at this or any time. Erica was standing at her kitchen and sipping from a steamy cup of coffee while talking over the phone. The news was a little heavy, but her face indicated how little of a surprise this update was to her. It's standard practice for a dwelling of that size to be occupied by at least one other person, but we waived that given the circumstances, the voice on the phone continued. Our records indicate how often your location has been shifted around as of late, so we thought we'd make an exception in your case. If you change your mind and wish to update your living situation, however, then you can always be relocated into other options that might be better suited to your needs. A tried and true option are our single-person apartments within one of our larger communal living spaces. But if you want more company and prefer to stay where you are, we can even assign you another roommate in your current location should you wish.
Thank you. I haven't fully settled into this new job yet, so I appreciate the flexibility.
You're most welcome, ma'am, the voice replied to Erica. Do you have any other questions I can answer for you today?
Yes, actually.
Erica responded.
All of her stuff is still here, and I was wondering what I can or should do about all that.
Of course, that will be no problem, the voice assured. We have specific days where trucks are permitted for dispatch and retrieval, with the next date designated for 2 weeks from this Thursday. We can schedule you for a pickup on that day, as well as provide you with a signed note excusing you from your work. The person at the other end of the phone couldn't see the mild shock on Erica's face.
I'm allowed to take the day off just for that?
Absolutely, ma'am. You let us know if you need to change that appointment to a later day, and please call in with any further questions. Have a terrific rest of your day.
Thanks. And you too?
Erica said with a light smile before hanging up the phone. She glanced around the apartment that was now entirely hers as she took in another smooth gulp of coffee. Despite the fact that Sherry had left half of her papers and schemes strewn around for others to pick up, Erica only noted the comforting potential of getting to enjoy the space without her.